to Busan and immediately fell in love with the city. I love the food, the mild weather, the serene view of the mountains and the sea, and just how beautiful and peaceful the city is. I returned home a week later, only to find that I was homesick in my own home. And then I realized that deep in my heart, Busan was now my new home. I moved to Busan the following year, and I'm now working at the Tourism Promotion Organization for Asia Pacific Cities, TPO Secretariat in Busan. My future lies in Busan, and Busan is the future for us all. Global City Busan, we are in it together. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
70 years ago, Busan was the provisional capital of a war-torn Korea. But thanks to the international community, we emerged into an economic powerhouse embracing technology and industries. And now we wish to return the favor. The world now faces critical transitions stemming from digital inequity, food insecurity, climate change, and the pandemic. Sharing our unique journey of overcoming post-war poverty, we will put our heads together and move towards progress. Busan is now the model city of the fourth industrial revolution and smart city infrastructure. Looking ahead to 2030, Busan is prepared to attract the World Expo.
부산은 준비됐습니다. 부산 나 상상. 부산 준비하라. 부산 준비됐지.
Busan is ready. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
지금 방송 광고라는 부메랑을 던져보세요. 소비자를 향해 정확히 날아가는 광고. 힘차게 돌아가는 경제. 부메랑처럼 다시 기업의 이익으로 되돌아오니까요. 방송 광고, 경제에 큰 힘이 됩니다. 부산 방송광고발전협의회.
The time is now 2 o'clock.
Welcome to BFM News at 2. I'm Haeyeon Park. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi met in Washington Thursday local time to discuss the Middle Eastern tensions, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and more. These talks are seen as preparation for a potential Biden-Xi meeting during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in San Francisco. Biden and Xi held their first face-to-face bilateral summit on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Indonesia last November. In recent months, the Biden administration has been working on improving ties with Beijing by focusing on de-risking rather than decoupling the bilateral relationship. The Israeli Defense Forces claim that the Palestinian militant group Hamas used weapons from North Korea and Iran in the October 7th attacks on Israel. The Israeli military revealed an arsenal recovered from the southern Israeli areas targeted by the militants. The weapons included landmines, Iranian-made mortar shells, drones, and rocket-propelled grenades from both Iran and North Korea. An Israeli military official stated that about 5 to 10% of these weapons were of Iranian origin, and another 10% were from North Korea, with the majority being manufactured in the Gaza Strip. In response to the October 7th attack by Hamas, the Israeli military is preparing for a ground operation against the group while continuing airstrikes on Gaza. South Korea is rushing to vaccinate cattle and boost quarantine measures to contain the spread of lumpy skin disease, which is impacting the beef industry. Since the first outbreak last week, 47 cases have been confirmed, with 9 new cases reported in a single day. Authorities are also investigating 7 suspected cases. Over 3,300 cows from 47 farms will be culled or have already been culled. The Agriculture Ministry is working to expand the vaccination campaign by acquiring more vaccines from abroad, while the Interior Ministry pledges to oversee the program according to local government plans. Shifting gears to local news. Busan has been selected in the 2023 public contest for the designation of Legal Environmental Education City. Starting next year, Busan will receive support from the Ministry of Environment for 3 years to conduct citizen-involved environmental education and strengthen communication among environmental educators. The city will also be repurposing closed schools for hands-on environmental education in partnership with the ministry and the Busan City Office of Education. Busan City will host the Starry Night in Busan candlelight concert tomorrow at 6 p.m. at the APEC Naru Park. This is in partnership with the Korea and Busan tourism organizations and the Specialized Night Tourism Association. The event will feature live music performances on LED candlelit stages, offering a unique moonlit tourism experience. The concert has been enjoyed by over 3 million people in over 100 cities worldwide, including New York, Paris, and Barcelona. Busan City has announced plans to streamline the management of combined sewer pipes and manhole installations. These were previously handled separately by districts and counties, but this integration aims to enhance its efficiency. Currently, installation efforts are concentrated in areas with odor and other complaints. The city intends to identify priority zones for installation and keep a comprehensive record in collaboration with districts and counties. In international news, a White House official disclosed that Russia is executing its soldiers who refuse orders in the Ukraine war. John Kirby, the National Security Council coordinator for strategic communications, stated that Russian commanders are even threatening to execute whole units for retreating from Ukrainian artillery fire. He emphasized that Russia's forces are undertrained and under-equipped despite their larger military compared to Ukraine. And now for the local weather. It's currently 21 degrees Celsius under clear skies in Busan. Expect clouds and overcast later in the afternoon, and the ultrafine dust level today is in the bad category. It's time to wrap up this hour's news. Thank you for joining. You're listening to BEFM, 부산영어방송.
Your best choice. BEFM, 부산영어방송.
Coming up next is Steve Hatherly Reboot. BEFM, 부산영어방송.
What you're about to hear is amazing. That's because you're locked in to Busan's #1 English radio station. Whether you're at home, at work, or driving in your car, you will be exposed to radio excellence. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show because it starts right now.
Nelly Furtado has her song, I'm Like a Bird. I'm like a bird. She sings it better than I do. We often do that, don't we? We as human beings, we like to compare ourselves to things that we are not, either through simile or metaphor. You're a rock, for example. You are a rock means that you are a strong person emotionally who can handle anything that comes your way. But back to the animals for a sec. Which one do you most relate to? Today I want to ask you this. What is your spirit animal? It's Friday, October 27th, 2023. I'm Steve Hatherly. This is Steve Hatherly Reboot. Let's go. That was Liv Harland, New Friend. And Liv Harland has spent the past 2 years building her massive online fan base with support coming from radio play and magazines. She had 3 of the biggest social live streams of the year, busking to over 20,000 people at a time on the app. She is the only female artist to appear in the top 10 live streams and the only artist to appear in the list more than once. Now with over 2 million followers across different platforms, Liv has been in the studio recording new music for an explosive 2023, or an end to it anyway, working with the likes of Cutfather, Little Mix, and John Maguire, Calum Scott. Pretty cool, right? I mean, technology sometimes can be annoying or a bad thing, but sometimes it can be a wonderful thing too. The fact that she could just press live on the app and then just live stream to 20,000 people her concert from maybe her living room or a park or somewhere. I mean, that's just really, really cool to do. Anyway, Liv Harland got us going today. I am live in the studio from Busan on this Friday afternoon. Woohoo! Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the show. You're tuned in on BEFM 90.5 in Busan, 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Zhongguan, and Noksan areas. In Seoul, that's on TBS EFM 101.3 and in Gwangju on GFN 98.7. Thank you so much for being with me to round out your week. Go on over to youtube.com. You can watch our live stream there. Search BEFM or Busan영어방송 in Korean. You can watch our live stream there until the songs start to play. Then they'll cut out, and they cut out because of music copyright issues. Not much we can do about that right now. We apologize, but there is a workaround. When the songs fade, you can open up your BEFM app, or of course you can listen through FM radio as well, and that's the way that you can enjoy the whole show. And then when you listen to the songs through the app and it's finished, then you can come back and continue watching the live stream there. We apologize for the inconvenience, but again, we appreciate your patience there. All right, coming up in the first hour of the show today, we'll kick things off with Hot Off the Press, where you'll hear some trendy music that has been newly released. I'll give you a little bit about the artist and then a little bit about the track as well. Then Jeff's back. It's been a while, hasn't it? Jeff was away covering, I think it was an LPGA golf tournament in Paju last week. If I'm wrong, Jeff will correct me about that when he joins me in the studio just after 2:30. Jeff will be here to get us up to date with all things happening in and around Busan, and maybe a little bit of Seoul news as well. Hour number 2, for our fun fact of the day. Now, this is completely and utterly random. There is no connection to anything else going on in the show today, but when I came across this last night, I thought, well, this is pretty cool. I had never heard of this before. There's an area in the world, there's a secluded island where animals swim. Do you want to have a little quiz question today? This isn't my question of the day, but we can have a little quiz question if you want. I won't tell you the animal until I get to our fun fact of the day in hour number 2. These are the clues that I will give you. This location is a tropical location somewhere around the world. It's a secluded island, meaning nobody lives there. People do not live there. The only inhabitants of the island are these animals, and these animals are famous for swimming in the waters around the island. So which animal is it? What do you think? Again, the clues. It's a tropical location. It's uninhabited. No people live there. These are wild animals, and they go swimming in the waters around the island. I'll give you one final clue. These animals are not known to be swimmers. If you think of this animal and you think, does this animal swim? You would probably think, I don't even know if they know how to swim. Anyway, it's a cute story. And the other thing is, this is now a tourist location because people take boats there because they want to swim in the waters with these animals too and take pictures for their Insta or for their different social media platforms. Such a cute story. So go ahead, text me and take a guess about which animal that might be. I bet you're going to be wrong for the first few times. That's your last clue. I'm guessing your first guess will be wrong. That'll be our fun fact of the day. Then for Friday Fun Day, I have some funny historical things that happened over the years that kind of made me giggle and made people on the internet giggle too. And we're going back. I mean, we're going way back in time here. Historical happenings, things that happened a long time ago. So there's a list of 15 things. We're not going to go through all 15, but I'll pick out maybe 5 or so to share with you. And they're kind of funny. Hopefully they'll make you smile as well. Then we'll have Today in Music. We'll find out what happened in today's music history, and I will check your messages throughout the program, as I always do. All right, question of the day today. This is what I want to know. Now, we're talking about animals through our fun fact of the day today, and this is what I was talking about in the opening of the program, too. We do it, don't we? Through simile or metaphor, we always compare ourselves to things that we are not. Nelly Furtado's song, I'm Like a Bird, that's a simile. Or, you're a rock, that's a metaphor, right? Did I get those definitions right? I think so. So, here's my question. What's your spirit animal? Young Hun or Hon? PD님? Hon? 영혼의 동물은 무엇인가요? 영혼의 동물은 무엇인가요? That's our question today. What do you think? If you had a spirit animal, what would it be? I know my answer already, but I'll tell you later on in the program, maybe when Jeff comes in. All right, so a spirit animal, in case you don't know what that means, refers to a spirit which can help guide or protect a person on a journey. So if that were an animal that represented you, which would it be? Think about it, and then text me with your answers. Pounder sharp 9050. That will cost you 101. Add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us a comment after logging in. We'll take a break and be right back with today's Hot Off the Press after Niall Horan. Heaven. That was Niall Horan with Heaven. We are back, and it's time for today's Hot Off the Press, where from Monday to Friday, we bring you two of the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. A lot of songs are released every single week, and we pick out a couple each day that we hope that you will really enjoy. Let's start today with Say Now's new song, Single, S-I-N-G-L-E. London trio Say Now have shared their new track. The group, previously known as Nidana Membro or Mibro, are one of the most talked about newcomers in British music. Switching to a refreshed moniker, their new single could be their breakout moment. Carefully finessed pop with R&B inflections, it seems to allow space for the trio to express themselves individually. They said of the song, it's about leaving negativity in the past, being stress-free, and coming out stronger on the other side. We hope anyone who listens to it feels empowered and hopeful for the future. After that, we'll hear the new song from Melina Malone. This is called Nectar Honey Iced Tea. That sounds delightful. Dublin-born Irish-Greek R&B singer Melina Malone has been dubbed Ireland's best-kept secret, but the secret's out now with her recent debut album, Aphrodite. It came out on October 6th, and it's her long-awaited EP, and it puts a modern spin on the role of women in Greek mythology, drawing parallels between what it means to be a woman today and also in historical myth. The sublimely produced results in a stirring and sonically masterful listen, testament to her thrilling talent. Here we go with our two tracks for Hot Off the Press today. Brand new from Say Now, S-I-N-G-L-E single, and then Melina Malone's new song, Nectar Honey Iced Tea. Those were our two tracks for Hot Off the Press today. Melina Malone, Nectar, Honey, Ice Tea, and before that, Say Now's new single called Single, S-I-N-G-L-E. Our question of the day today, this is what I want to know. What is your spirit animal? And this doesn't mean what animal would you like to be. That's a different question. This means what animal best represents you and your personality. Neil Nim texted in and said foxes or a fox because they are cute sometimes. Exactly. So Neil Nim thinks he's cute sometimes. He thinks foxes are cute sometimes. So there's the connection. Have you ever seen a fox in the wild? I did in Nova Scotia. It was about 8-10 feet away from me, and I didn't know what to do because I didn't know if a fox attacks you. I had no idea. So I froze, it froze, and then it just ran away. I know, that was a very boring story, but I didn't know. At the time, I kind of panicked because you don't see a fox in front of you every single day. I say in the wild. It was at the beach. I wasn't in the middle of a jungle. Anyway, that was my encounter with Neil's spirit animal. What is your spirit animal? 영혼의 동물은 무엇인가요? Silly Serious says, my spirit animal is definitely a dragon. Ooh, nice. Why? I'm curious to know why. Don't forget to tell me why you think these animals are your spirit animals as well. Jin Young says, my spirit animal is a cat. I live with 3 of them. They're great, and they are perfect animals, just like my spirit. Perfect answer. Nice. I'll give you my answer in hour number 2. I'm curious to know Jeff's. He's going to be back in the studio in just a sec, so I'll say hello momentarily. In the meantime, you can send in your answers. Text me, ## 9050. That will cost you 100 won. Add us on Kakao Talk for free and send messages for free by searching BEFM or Busan영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores. You can listen to our programs there and leave us a comment after logging in. Our weekend wanderer has returned from the north. Jeff is back in the studio from his week off. It wasn't a week off. A week away in Paju covering a golf tournament, but he's back today. Good to see you again, sir.
Happy to be back.
Yeah, exactly. How was the golf tournament?
It was great.
Yeah.
Really, so the tournament was in Paju. We stayed in Goyang.
Yep.
So it's like an hour away. So we had to get shuttle bussed in every day, which was actually quite interesting, especially on the rides home, because we actually took rides home with caddies.
Oh, okay.
And so...
Get to talk about some inside stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of people I don't even think know this. So there's a lot of Korean women on the LPGA tour. But all of them have foreign caddies.
Okay.
And so we were kind of curious, like, why is that? Like, why would they not have Korean caddies?
My guess would be maybe translators? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's part of it. So a lot of the tournament is actually played in the U.S. So, I mean, when you're... A caddy's job is more than just carrying a bag.
Of course.
They talk to the officials. I mean, everything from doing hotels and things like that as well. So they have to be able to speak English to be able to communicate effectively with the judges at the tournament and whoever else. So that was part of it. But also, like, the visas was another issue. So... Anyways, they were quite interesting to talk to.
I bet, yeah. I've never been, we were chatting before you came into the studio today. I've never seen a golf tournament, a pro golf tournament in person before. Is it an exciting thing to be a witness of?
They actually had a very large crowd on the Sunday, on the last day. And it was actually... When it gets down to, like, if it's a close match at the end, it does get really exciting. So when you have these huge galleries following, like, to the 17th hole, to the 18th hole.
Right, yeah.
And again, this one also went to a playoff.
Oh, wow.
And this is, I think, the 3rd time, I believe, it's gone to the playoff in the last 4 tournaments that they've had that I've covered it.
That's exciting, then.
Yeah. So, yeah, it gets really exciting because when you have this massive crowd and then they hit the ball, everybody's like, woo, great shot, great shot. And then everybody follows them up the course.
Yep, that's how it is at the golf tournaments, right? That's cool.
One interesting thing about this tournament, and a lot of people didn't even know this, so they also include amateurs in this one. So they allow, like... they invite people to come. And so they invited a couple of amateurs. And one girl, I believe... She got 13th. She saw it, I thought, was like a minus 13. She was a middle school third grader.
You're kidding. And she
No.
she shot 13 under
Yeah.
and finished 13th in the tournament.
Something like that.
Keep your eyes peeled for her on the LPGA Tour.
I didn't actually even see her there, but I didn't even realize it until the end when I was doing my write-up report, and I was like, oh, Jet Girl's 14 years old.
That's unbelievable,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah, she's a future star for sure. What's your spirit animal before we get going today? I'm very curious to know what your answer is. Have you even considered this before?
No, not at all. And thinking about it, I think the answer is going to be a lot of people's answer if you actually think about it, and I think it could also be yours. The eagle.
Because?
We've all left the nest.
Okay.
And we've kind of flown, I guess, our way around the world and made our own new life or whatever. I mean, a lot of people, every expat here has left home.
That's true.
And soared to the new land or whatever like that. But I mean, we've all left the nest and we've all come and eventually ended up somewhere here in Korea.
Eagles are independent. They fly. They fly their own. They fly their own path.
Right, and I think that's what a lot of us have done here. I mean, we've all left family. We've all left our home and our friends and things like that. So I think the eagle, it has to be.
I appreciate you putting a lot of thought into that in short notice. All right, let's get into it. Jeff's here to get us up to date with some local news and then some things happening in and around Busan and maybe a little bit from Seoul as well. So where do we start today?
Okay, so more accolades for the city of Busan. They clinched the rapidly popular travel destination award, which was granted by Trip.com. So this was voted on alongside with Vienna, Austria. And it was voted as a top 2 destination for 2023.
That's really exciting.
Yeah. So again, they did this criteria was user reviews, search data, purchase patterns, ratings, subscriptions on Trip.com. So it wasn't like just a small evaluation where they said, okay, well, here you go. I mean, it's quite meticulous. And so, yeah, I mean, it's one of the 2 best destinations of the year, according to that.
That's good. Trip.com, if you're not familiar with it, is I think it's a really popular travel website that people use to find out about travel destinations, hotels. I think flights information is in there. It's all in there. It's a travel website. And people leave reviews on there as well. So that's pretty cool because this was opened up to the entire world.
Yeah.
And it was between Vienna and Busan in the top 2.
Yeah. And so, like I said, Busan has done a lot of, I mean, like I said, they used to only focus mostly on Chinese and Japanese tourists. But then they've, again, once THAAD happened and once the Japanese visitors kind of stopped coming, they've really focused more on with Southeast Asia, the Middle East, India, Europe, North America. So it's kind of spreading out a lot more. So, I mean, if you notice here, you don't see as many, you see a lot more different country people here now. A lot more different nationalities than you used to. It was always like, where are you from? America. Where are you from? Canada. Where are you from? Now it's like, where are you from? South Africa. Where are you from? Like Malaysia, Singapore, wherever. I mean, you see a lot more tourists from Taiwan, places like that. So it's good to see that Busan is really stepping up its game and becoming more popular around the world.
I mean, when the KTX was created, that had to have been a huge, huge boon to the travel industry here in Busan because people would have flown into, Gimpo before or Incheon before. I'm not sure about the chronological timeline of when stuff was made, but anyway, access to the city from other parts of the country. And then if they can build this new this new airport that you were talking about before, with new flight paths, new routes, and then if we get the expo, knock on wood, then all of this is going to snowball together, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think the airport is one of the most important things that the city really needs because when it's going to open now. It just opens up the city that much more.
Absolutely.
I mean, because people don't want to travel. I mean, you want to go to Singapore, you have to fly. I mean, or Indonesia, you have to fly to Incheon, and then you have to fly to.
It's just an extra step that will deter a lot of people from making that trip in the first place.
Right. I mean, so even people coming here will just go to Seoul and say, "Do I really want to go? I only have 4 days. Do I really want to go down? I mean, I'll just stay here."
Exactly. So this is just a cherry on top, isn't it? Because this is going to put Busan more on the radar. Okay, let's move on. Next story.
This is actually kind of interesting. So, as we've seen across the country for years, that every city basically around here is basically declining in
population.
And so Busan is no exception to this. I mean, we've gone from nearly 4 million people down to 3.3, and we're supposed to be under 3.3 soon. However, Ulsan actually, for the first time in 88 months, saw a rise in population.
Oh, wow. So what did it go to and where did it come from?
So right now it's at just over 1.1 million. So interestingly enough, so they lost Korean population, but the foreign population grew.
Oh, so that is what's attributed to the overall population rise.
Yeah, so it was like an increase of like 2,625 foreigners actually moved into Ulsan in the last few months. So that's really quite interesting.
Any idea what we can attribute that to, that spike of that influx of expat residents?
Yeah, it's so it's the shipbuilding is returning, and there's a big project with oil up there that's going on. So there's a lot more foreign population growing. So I mean, a lot of them are staying in Ulsan, some are staying in Busan and commuting every day. So it's actually quite interesting.
Is that easy to commute from Busan to Ulsan every day?
Yeah, it's not that far.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you just jump on a highway and go on up.
And there you go. All right, well, good news for the city of Ulsan there. Let's do maybe 1 or 2 more before we take a break.
Okay, this is actually another interesting thing that's planning to go on if it does happen. So Igide Park, are you familiar?
I am not.
Okay, Igide is by in Yongho-dong, and it's where like there's a big park, there's the mountains, and then there's also like the 5 rocks. So Igide is the 5-6 rocks is what they call it.
Okay.
And so Igide is like a really beautiful. I used to live out there actually years ago, about 6-7 years ago. It's beautiful out there, and it's actually kind of interesting because you're in the city, but it's so separated from the rest of it because you have this mountain and you kind of have to go around it if you're trying to come in, or you go through Yongho-dong to get into it.
Yeah.
But there's one big apartment complex out there that's really secluded from the rest of the city. I mean, it's like if you have a family, I think it's a great place to live because you don't have to worry about traffic that much to let your kids run around and things like that. But they're planning to actually build a culture and arts center out there.
Okay.
So what they want to do is to make it into like art galleries built within the natural surroundings and develop the forest paths with diverse cultural content. Could be interesting.
Are they looking to increase the number of residents in that part of the city, or for more tourists to visit there? If you said that it's a little bit secluded from the rest of the city, I'm curious to know why they would choose that location.
Well, they already have the skywalk out there, so there is like one of the skywalks, and then it's actually one of the more popular places for hiking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, there is a lot of undeveloped land around there that was owned by one of the major companies, and the city just took it back.
So now it's development time.
Yeah, so they've been wanting to do this for a long time. A lot of people really don't want housing out there because there's like I said, there's just the one big apartment complex there now, but they don't really want to ruin the rest of the natural surroundings. But there are places that are there that look like they can be like redeveloped. But they don't really want to ruin the natural surroundings of it, if you know what I mean.
So it's a beautiful part of the city, mountains, trees, parks, and now the city got the land back, and they're thinking, okay, let's develop it a little bit. But there are groups of people who say, "Well, wait, slow down. This is this is good as it is."
Yeah. So, and this is what I think they want to develop into more like an arts community, an arts center, because it's actually a really good place for it.
Understood. All right, Jeff's back today for our Weekend Wanderer segment. Those were a few of the news stories happening. We'll see what's up when we come back. Some events and maybe a little bit more news as well. Here is Tiesto, Lay Low. That was Tiesto, Lay Low. And now let's get back into it with Jeff, our Weekend Wanderer on this Friday afternoon. So you want to do a little bit more news, or do you want to go straight over to the events?
One last news story, because this actually happened to me when I was coming back from Paju last week, from Kimpo. So lately, and I don't know how many of your listeners have flown lately, but there has been a really large increase in flight delays in Korea.
Oh, really?
And I mean, this is something that usually doesn't happen.
Domestic flights.
Yeah, domestic flights. And so we were delayed by almost 45 minutes. We got back an hour late last week.
That is unheard of in Korea. In America, that happens, I mean, if your plane leaves on time or arrives on time domestically in the United States, that go buy a lottery ticket. But here, that's unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to like 22% now.
22% of flights are delayed now.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's the reason behind it?
Lots of different things. I mean, so like I said, there's passenger congestion because there's a lot more passengers these days. There's baggage transport disruptions. There's not enough boarding gates. Intensified security screenings.
I mean, you're talking like post-COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, but these numbers would have been similar pre-COVID, would they not?
Yeah, and again, that's why I don't really understand. I mean, I think there's a lot of understaffing going on at airports right now.
Okay.
That's one thing. But again, yeah, like a lot of the airlines are having problems with this. Not just the big ones, but also like the the LCCs.
Well, I mean, the budget airlines, I mean, I'm not sure how it works in Korea, but typically the bigger airlines in America are given priority, right? So they're more likely to have their flights arrive and depart on time.
You would think so, but no.
And that's not happening here, huh? It's everybody.
Look at our nation's carrier.
It's seeing Air Canada. It's seeing delays from all the airlines. This is really interesting. Now, you make a good point there that the number of staff is important, right? To make sure that flights depart and arrive on time. And if they're understaffed, then that's going to be one of the bigger problems.
Yeah. So it was 6.3% of flights last year. This year it's 22.
Wow, that's a huge increase.
Yeah.
Huh. They'll be working on that for sure. All right, shall we jump over to some events?
Yeah, we got a lot of events and not a lot of time, so let's go through this quickly.
Off you go.
Okay, so music-wise, the Philharmonic Orchestra is in town tonight for their 604th subscription concert. The Hyundai Jazz Festival is going on through Saturday. There's the Candlelit concert going on at Naru Apak Park, which was announced also in the news, which was announced today. Events-wise, we have the Webtoon Festival going on at KT&G Sangsangmadang. The Mackerel Festival, if you're into fish, Songdo Beach. The Gamcheon Culture Village Festival is going on, the 13th edition, which is quite a fun thing, I guess, if you're out that way.
The Mackerel Festival, if we can go back to that for a second. Goldengo. Grilled goldengo gui is one of my favorite foods in Korea.
And it is the most popular fish in Korea.
Yeah. So is that like a fishing festival? Like you actually go fishing, or is it more on the food side?
It's more on the food side.
I might have to stop by there, Jeffrey. All right. Thank you for that one. Moving on.
Okay, the Hungarian Film Festival is going on this weekend. They're also actually hosting an event this evening with the ambassadors in town. They're doing a wine tasting.
Oh, lovely.
I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm going to say.
You will be there.
I didn't say it. The Busan Global Village is doing an English flea market tomorrow. So it kind of sounds pretty interesting. Everything's going to be done in English, even like for the Korean visitors. They have to do everything in English.
So flea market, like you bring your stuff and then you can sell it?
I think they're going to have stuff already there.
Okay.
They'll have their sellers. Bama is going on this weekend at the Grand Chosin Hotel. So there's 50 galleries showcasing over 1,000 artworks in the hotel.
Oh, wow.
So they rent out rooms and then they decorate them with art pieces. It's really fun.
The rooms of the hotel?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
There's a few Halloween things going on this weekend. I don't know how much I want to get into this considering last year. But there are a couple events if you're going to go out and look for them. The Chrysanthemum exhibition is still going on at Peace Park. The drone show is going on this weekend. Lots of different art exhibits going on. So there's the Meta of Senses K3 People's exhibition at the Ariane Gallery in Hyundai. Accidental Encounter at the Busan French Cultural Center Art Space. Busan Growing Trees exhibition at the Junggu Cultural Center. Blue Rise Up, which is at the National Maritime Museum.
What's that about?
Expressing the maritime perspective of contemporary artists. So it's marine art.
That might be kind of cool to go check out.
So those are a couple of the new ones that are going on. There's a few more, but...
I was going to say, I didn't recognize that one. Yeah.
I just posted about these this week. So let's move on. There's a lot of exhibitions going on. Some sports going on. There's the Ocean Marathon going on Sunday morning, starting at Bexco, and then Bucheon is in town against the iPark as they look to hold on to the top of the table.
What's going on? I'm putting you on the spot here. I always see banners for if something's happening on the bridge, on Diamond Bridge. Usually we see banners around the city kind of warning people like, hey, this is happening on the bridge. There's some sort of, I don't know if it's a festival or what it is. Did you see the banners? Do you know what I'm talking about?
That's probably for the marathon.
Marathon.
But there's also, between that and then there's also, they have the banners because traffic is going to be limited on the bridge next week.
Understood.
While they set up for the fireworks next weekend.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. If anything's disrupted on that bridge, it's always very well advertised around the city because that's a major transportation spot.
So what they usually do for the marathons is then they'll close either the lower or the upper deck. So then put traffic both ways.
I mean, what?
Because if you have thousands of people running across a bridge, you don't want cars in there.
Of course. But I was just going to ask you what happens to the traffic, because if they close it off, but they just put, it's a double-decker bridge for those who don't know, the Diamond Bridge. On the top, traffic goes in one direction. On the bottom, it goes in the other, and that's it. So they just put all the traffic in one spot. It still must make for bad traffic, but that's good, obviously, for the safety of the runners.
They tried to tell people to avoid taking the bridge if possible.
Of course, yeah. Okay, yep, more?
Two quick things, as we don't have much time, but I'll get through them quickly. Up in Seoul, you have Seoul Design 2023 at DDP. So it's Seoul's representative design festival. You can enjoy various exhibitions, conferences, markets, side events under the theme Valuable Life. And then continuing and finishing this weekend is the Daehakro Festival. So again, there's a variety of K performances, eateries, cafes, guided tours of the alleyways around Daehakro.
Yeah, Daehakro is it's a very artistic part of Seoul, right? Where you have a lot of like play houses, like small houses where they put on performances and plays.
So it's kind of like an off-Broadway.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's a good way to put it. Yeah, really kind of cool artistic place in the city, and a lot of great jazz bars there actually as well, like live performances. Really cool. Before we say goodbye, what was your number one takeaway from the golf tournament this year? Was it the teenage girl? Did you get a chance to actually see her play at all?
No, I didn't actually. I spent a lot of the time in the media room, though I did go out onto the course, and so I saw what is her name, Park Sung Hyun. She was the former number one, so I saw her. She's been recovering. It was interesting because the three of the top leaders were all Korean descent, but from different countries.
Oh.
So the winner was Minji Lee. She was Australian.
Yeah.
Second was Allison Lee. She's American. And then third was Lydia Ko, who's New Zealand.
Yeah.
But they're all from Korea. They're all Korean descent.
Yeah, right. Very cool. Impressive to see professional. You've seen it before, but again, I've never seen a pro golf tournament. Is it even more impressive to see them play?
They do a
in person?
really good job there. It's I'm not know if I'm allowed to say who the host of the event is, but so I met the communications director who's from Germany.
Okay.
And I met him last year as well when it was in Wonju, and he's a really nice guy. But so we talk back and forth kind of about explaining how the tournament goes, because he just started his job last year at the beginning of the tournament.
Okay.
And so he had flown in, and yeah, it's a really well done
that's
thing.
cool. That makes me want to go see one someday. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
All right, Jeff, it was great to have you back in the studio. Thank you so much for today's Weekend Wanderer. Enjoy your week, my friend, and we'll see you again next time.
All right. Have a good day.
Stay with us for hour number 2. To finish up hour number 1 today, it's Matthias Nabel. Back to you.
What if I say
world. BEFM 부산 영어방송.
구 년 전, 한국에서의 새로운 출발을 위해 부산을 처음 찾은 프랭크. 부산의 자연과 사람, 부산에서 누리는 모든 것을 사랑하는 그는 부산의 변함없는 한대에 늘 감탄합니다.
I think that Busan people are actually very, very kind and very welcoming. If I seemed a little lost, there was always someone that was there to ask me if I needed help. They're more seriously friendly than it's very serious. I very seriously want to help you.
부산의 한결같은 모습도 늘 감동을 주지만 이제는 부산의 미래를 꿈꾸며 2030년 부산의 새로운 도약을 기대합니다.
Busan people are very proud of their city. They want to share the city with everyone. If we get the World Expo, it'll really put Busan on a global map.
세계 박람회가 어울리는 도시, 미래를 향한 힘찬 도약. 부산에서 출발한 파도는 이미 세계를 향해 뻗어 나가고 있습니다. 2030 부산 세계 박람회. 부산이 시작하고 대한민국이 함께 이뤄갑니다. 이 캠페인은 지역과 함께하는 든든한 동반자 BNK 부산은행과 함께합니다.
괜찮아 괜찮아 조금 불편해도 환경을 위해 너무 괜찮아 일회용 대신 머그컵 비닐봉지 대신 에코백 물티슈 대신 손수건 우리의 실천 하나하나 모여 세상을 바꿔요 깨끗한 세상 플라스틱 제로 일회용품 제로 함께해서 참 좋은 우리의 시민 불편하더라도
이 캠페인은 부산환경공단이 함께합니다.
김밥가게 박 사장님도 문구점 김 사장님도 우리 부산의 경제를 움직이는 사람들. 우리 동네 작은 가게로 향하는 발걸음이 우리 부산의 경제를 키워가는 한 걸음입니다. 부산 방송광고 발전 협의회.
The time is now 3 o'clock.
You're listening to Steve Hatherly Reboot on BEFM 90.5. That was Lotto, Big Energy. And Lotto wrote the song with Dr. Luke and Vaughn Oliver and others as well. A lot of songwriters on that track. The rapper needed a lot of people in the room so that they could bounce ideas off of each other. She said it wasn't a sit down and write type of thing. It was more just talking out loud and playing the beat out loud. Dr. Luke and Vaughn Oliver's retro pop-tinged production borrows its groove from Tom Tom Club's 1981 hit Genius of Love. Many other songs have sampled the post-disco tune's rhythm track, including Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde's Genius Rap. That was from the same year in 1981. Grandmaster Flash in Furious 5's It's Nasty in 1982. But I think most famously, Mariah Carey's Fantasy from 1995. Did you recognize that? That was a sample. They used that sample as well. By the way, if you're looking for something fun to watch or interesting to watch on YouTube over the weekend, search Grandmaster Flash and just go through some of his videos. He's like the original DJ, the guy who had a DJ deck with turntables and would like mix records. He's the guy who created that. And he is phenomenal to watch. To watch him do it, you're watching the best do it. So the reason I recommend that is because a couple of weekends ago, I have no idea why I found it, but through some random search, I ended up on Grandmaster Flash videos, and then my wife and I were watching them together, and I was explaining like who this guy is and like what happened back in New York in the before all of that kicked off, and how he had this tremendous impact on hip-hop music and then DJs. Forget about hip-hop music for a moment, just DJs in general. And we had a great time. We killed like an hour watching Grandmaster Flash videos. Anyway, yeah, you can do that if you find some time where you're not doing too much this weekend. That song got us into hour number 2 of Steve Hatherly Reboot on this Friday afternoon. Thank you very much for staying with me. You're tuned in on BEFM 90.5 in Busan. That's 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Zhongguan, and Noksan areas. In Seoul on TBS EFM 101.3 and in Gwangju on GFM 98.7. Coming up in hour number 2 of the program today, we're going to talk about, for our fun fact of the day, the story of the swimming animals in a tropical part of the world. And I'm not talking about fish here. I'm talking about an animal that you would not expect to be a regular swimmer. When we think of this animal, we definitely do not think swimming. But there is an uninhabited island in a tropical location somewhere, and these animals go for a swim on a daily basis. And it's become a source of entertainment for people. It's become a hot tourist destination where people want to take a boat out to this island to go swimming with the animals. I don't want to tell you just yet. I want to keep it a secret for just a few more minutes. Feel free to guess. We'll do that. Then we'll move on to Friday Fun Day. And I came across this last night. The title of the story was 15 Hilarious Historical Happenings That Made Me Cry with Laughter. And I wouldn't say they made me cry with laughter, but they are quite humorous. And I'm not going to go through all 15, but I have selected some from the list that I'll share with you, and that'll be our topic for Friday Fun Day today. We'll have Today in Music History. We'll find out what happened in today's music history. And, of course, I'll check in with your messages throughout hour number 2 as well. Our question of the day today, which animal best represents you? 영혼의 동물은 무엇인가요? Silly said in the first hour, a dragon. And the reason is because, thank you, Silly, for the further explanation, I have the strength and longevity of a dragon, and I'm just as easily sighted as a dragon as well. That's true. If there's a dragon around, hard to hide if you're a dragon, I would say, correct? My answer, I can pick 2. I would say a sloth, but they're a little bit too slow. I mean, I dig it. I dig the attitude of a sloth. They seem really kind and really chill, right? Have you seen that video from Australia where a sloth was struggling to cross the road and a driver got out of their car? I think it was a driver who got out of their car. Anyway, someone picked up the sloth and then carried it over to the tree. And when the sloth was on the tree, it turned around. Napidi, have you seen this video? The man put the sloth on the tree, and the sloth turned around very slowly and reached his hand out and looked at the man basically like, thank you. You could see it was basically like saying thank you. It was so sweet. If you watch that video, have a box of tissues with you. I almost cried when I watched that. It was so sweet. But I won't choose a sloth for my spirit animal. I would say koala bear. Koala bears seem pretty friendly. They seem pretty relaxed. They seem pretty chill. They just enjoy their bamboo all day. They hang out in the trees. They don't really cause problems for other people. They seem to enjoy themselves. So I would choose a koala bear as a spirit animal. What do you think? Does that match my personality or does it not? I think something quiet, relatively quiet, ironically perhaps, and something pretty relaxed would represent me pretty well. Anna took a guess at the animal from the remote island in the tropical location. Is it iguanas who go swimming? That's not correct. Penguins, she guessed? Nope. Incorrect, but you're going to find out the answer in just a few minutes. In the meantime, you can tell me your spirit animal. Once again, 영혼의 동물은 무엇인가요? Text me, # 9050. That will cost you 101. Add us on Kakao Talk for free, or send messages for free by searching BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Same search on your smartphone. You can download the app from any of the app stores, and then you can listen to our programs there and leave us a comment after logging in. All right, let's move on to our expression for today. It's from King the Land, and in this scene, the three women are talking together in the apartment, and they're talking about the day's events. And one of the women, all of a sudden, just starts talking as if she's at work. And she's a flight attendant, and she's been receiving a lot of pressure to sell more. What do you call that stuff? The stuff that, like, is it duty-free stuff on the, like, actually on the airplane? I don't know if this is true or not. Do flight attendants get a lot of pressure from their bosses, like sell the stuff from the magazine? So anyway, that's what's happened with this woman at work. So all of a sudden, she switches into this mode like, oh, yes, 고객님, please buy this cologne for your man because this is the most wonderful. And her friends are like, why are you talking like you're at work? And so her friend says this to her.
정신 차려, 돌아와!
정신 차려. 돌아와. All right, so 정신 차려. You might hear this a lot in various locations, as a matter of fact. 정신 차려 translates to English. This is the way it was translated on the screen. Snap out of it. And I think that's a really great translation. Snap out of it. S-N-A-P. Now, you've heard that word before, right? Snap, like snap your fingers. I'm not very good at that, am I? Practice. Snap your fingers. But this is a different meaning. This is snap out, to snap out of it. Snap out of it means exactly that. 정신 차려, meaning like your brain went somewhere else for a moment. So, hey, come back to me. Come back to us. Snap out of it. Come back to reality. Actually, you know, there's a lot of expressions that you can use or a lot of things that you can say in this situation, but snap out of it is a good one. And this could be for a situation where, like this in the drama, where she's like talking like she's at work. You're like, hey, like wake up, snap out of it. But you can use this in a different context too. Let's say that at your work, you've been unhappy for a very, very, very long time. And you're always complaining to your friend, oh, I really don't like my job, and I really don't like my boss, and I really don't want to work here anymore. But no, I have to. I have to be loyal to this company. I have to be loyal to my boss. And your friend may say, hey, snap out of it. 정신 차려, meaning not exactly in that moment, but it's been a long time where you were 정신 없다, 정신 없어. And that's the other useful expression in Korean here. 정신 차려 means like, hey, Wake up, snap out of it. But 정신 없어 is kind of the opposite. That's when you feel like you are out of it. So if you say, 나 오늘 진짜 정신 없어, you can say, I'm snapped out of it? No, you wouldn't say that. You would say, well, there's a few different things you can say, but how about this one? I'm totally spaced out today. S-P-A-C-E-D, spaced out. If you're spaced out, it means you're not paying attention, you don't know what's going on. 정신없어, spaced out. So you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm totally spaced out today. Or you can also say, I'm not with it today. I'm not with it today. I'm sorry, 정신없어요 오늘. I'm not with it today. There's a few different things that you can say. All right, so that's the first part. The second part, 돌아와, come back. Come back, but not in the physical sense, in the mental or emotional sense. 정신 차려, 돌아와, snap out of it, come back to us. But the translation said, and this is very good, come to your senses. Come to your senses. Come to your senses is exactly that. 돌아와, come back to us. So when you, in that moment, when you come back to reality, when you find your brain again, then you come to your senses. Let's go back to the work example. You know what? I was so unhappy at work for so long. I really didn't like my job. I didn't like my boss. I didn't like my coworkers. I was so unhappy. So what did you do? I quit because I finally came to my senses. I finally woke up. One more time. I finally came to my senses. I finally woke up. There you go. Some pretty good expressions for you today in Korean and in English. One more time, we'll hear from her. She said, 정신 차려, 돌아와.
정신 차려, 돌아와!
Very dramatically. She said that very dramatically, didn't she? You don't have to be that dramatic when you use it. But of course, you absolutely can. There you go. Those are your expressions for today. Hopefully that helps out your English or your Korean, depending on which one you are learning. If not both, we'll have a break. And when we come back, we'll get into our fun fact of the day. And we'll talk about the swimming in this tropical location. First, here is Jonathan Roy. I Want to Feel Love. That was Jonathan Roy with I Wanna Feel Love. And now it's time for our fun fact of the day. And today, it is really fun, and it is absolutely and completely random. I came across this information last night, and I thought, this is fantastic. I really hope I can get to visit there someday. Have you ever heard of the Exuma pigs of Pig Island in the Bahamas? They have been in their tropical paradise for many years. The Exuma Cays, or islands, have been a forgotten oasis for many decades. Ruthless pirates, pioneers of Europe, even the infamous Fire Festival, which I plan to cover on a Remember This episode some week, all of these have run their course through the Exumas. However, who was it that put the Exuma Cays or islands on the map? Yes, the swimming pigs have brought the most tourists over the years. The answer to my little quiz question before: pigs. As a matter of fact, over 6.62 million people went swimming with the pigs in 2018, and the spectacle is slated to continue growing in popularity year after year, with its social media virality skyrocketing. People love it. So let's go back and see how these pigs got there in the beginning. How did these Bahama swimming pigs get to Pig Island? Well, legend has it that farmers in Staniel Island used to care for their pig pen right outside of Staniel Island village. But when the village people complained about the smell blowing into the village from the farm, well, then the farmers were forced to find a solution. Their solution was moving the pigs to the nearby island of Big Major K. Later, they renamed it Pig Island. So they would boat the pigs over there, leave them there, and then get in a boat and bring them their food every single day. Now, with the same pattern being repeated every single day, the pigs finally learned, when the boat comes, the food comes. So the pigs started to go into the water and swim toward the boat because they wanted the food first. It was a race for the pigs to get to the boat so that they could get their food before their other pig friends. Isn't that a cool story? And soon, after these pigs started swimming, the farmers realized, oh boy, this is tourist gold. And soon the island would see mass amounts of visitors like never before. With the introduction of social media sharing, the island with pigs went viral and quickly became one of the most sought-after tourist destinations in the world. Now, there are around 20 or 25 pigs, which are the island's only permanent residents and who see thousands of visitors daily coming from various destinations like Nassau or Miami. So why? You might wonder, why are the pigs still at the beach? Because the farmers in that village, that was a long time ago. They wouldn't have that problem anymore. And that's true. But as stated on the official Bahamas tourism website, the swimming pigs of Exuma, they like it there. They like the island. They're living in paradise. They're being treated really well. They bring them food every single day. The pigs don't want to leave. They're living their best life. Not to mention, the local economy is benefiting from these lovable creatures too. Pig Island has become a major provider to the Bahamian tourism industry, and therefore, not only have the pigs remained on the island, but several imitation beaches have imported pigs and began to advertise their popular attraction as well. I'm not sure if you can train a pig to swim, or if it takes time for a pig to learn to swim, or if it's just a natural ability. But anyway, apparently, food is a major motivator for a pig if you want to get them to swim. There's another popular story, as a matter of fact, that says the pigs were brought ashore by sailors and livestock. When a sudden sea storm approached, the sailors were forced to leave in a hurry and therefore leave the pigs on the island. And it wasn't until later that the swimming pigs would be found by locals of the nearby Staniel Island village. That's a legend as well. There are many other legends, they say, that tell the story of how the pigs got there. Nobody really knows for sure. Whichever story you want to believe in is okay. But isn't that cool? So cute. Go on the internet and search the swimming pigs in the Bahamas, and enjoy the images. And I'm sure there's probably videos on YouTube as well. It's absolutely adorable. And I hope someday I can get to go swimming with the pigs in the Bahamian island of Pig Island. That is today's fun fact. We'll have a break and come back with Friday Fun Day. Here's Jason Derulo and David Guetta, Saturday, Sunday. That was Jason Derulo and David Guetta with Saturday and Sunday. We are almost to Saturday and Sunday. We have just a few hours left in the work week. A couple hours left, as a matter of fact. Pretty cute story, right, for today's fun fact of the day. I've never had an experience like that before. My sister's children have gone swimming with dolphins in nature, not inside like a SeaWorld or something like that. That's something that they did. I've never had the opportunity to do that by myself. In the Caribbean, I had a chance to go swimming and snorkeling with just a lot of different fish around, and I had some rice with me. The guides gave me some food, and fish food is rice at that day. And they said, just whenever you're ready, just open up the packet and drop it into the water around you. And that was an interesting experience because suddenly I was surrounded by about 200 fish when not 10 seconds before there were no fish around me. They're pretty fast. Anyway, hopefully I can get to go swimming with the pigs someday. Just because that's a natural thing, right? They're not being, I mean, I know they're being exploited, I guess, a little bit if you wanted to argue that because of the tourists, but still, it seems like they're being treated very, very, very well, and they like their life there. Anyway, let's move on to Friday Fun Day. I found this last night, and it's things that happened throughout history that might make you smile or giggle or chuckle that are a little bit silly. I'll give you the first one, and this will give you an example of what we're talking about today. These are really short, and I'll just go through a few of them quite quickly today. going back to when Persian King Xerxes punished the sea for ruining his bridge. According to this story from a very, very long time ago, King Xerxes tried to build a bridge across the Dardanelles to get to Greece faster, but a storm destroyed the bridge. So, of course, Xerxes was infuriated with the ocean. He blamed the ocean. So what did he do? He ordered his soldiers to punish it by whipping it with chains 300 times and poking it with red-hot irons. Handcuffs were also tossed into the water to symbolize the sea's submission to his authority. I suppose at that time you would have believed somehow in the power of the ocean, and it would be, I don't know, you could manipulate it somehow or communicate with it somehow. Hence Xerxes ordering his soldiers to whip the ocean 300 times and poke it with red-hot irons. Those irons, though, would become cool very quickly, if not immediately, right? That's what we're talking about today. Let's go to another one. There was a con man in France. Have you heard about this? He sold the Eiffel Tower twice, and he got away with it. Count Victor Lustig was a career criminal who posed as a member of the French government in order to hold a meeting at the Hôtel de Crillon. He invited business people from the French scrap metal industry to the hotel. Once they were all gathered there, he told them, hey, the Eiffel Tower is going to be torn down soon, and they're going to sell all the metal for scrap parts because of all the faults in the tower. It would be too much to repair it, so they're going to tear it down. So who wants it? So all of these metal industry men or women or whomever was there, they initiated a bidding war, and the tower was sold to the highest bidder by Lustig himself. The story was not true, obviously. They had no plans to tear down the Eiffel Tower, obviously, but he managed to sell it. It was a huge scam, and nobody knows how, but apparently he was able to do it again. Another person fell for it as well, and I don't think he ever got caught for it. Another one, during the Napoleonic Wars, there was a French ship that sank off the coast of Hartlepool, England. The only survivor was the captain's pet monkey, which was always dressed in a French military uniform. Now, the locals freaked out because the law said that any French military found on British soil at that time must be executed as a spy. So they ordered the standard punishment for spies, death by hanging. Hanging a monkey. But monkeys, don't you know, are pretty good at climbing rope. So instead of dying, the monkey just started climbing up the rope and it escaped. That was not very well thought out, I would say. Hartlepool has since embraced their failure at that little piece of history. Their local football team now is nicknamed the Monkey Hangers. I did not know that. That one made me smile. That one made me giggle. This one's from Korea. And if there's anything false about this story, please text and let me know, but I'll just share with you what I found in this story. Ancient Korea had special recording officials whose job it was to record everything. They were considered separate from the government, so the emperor at the time wasn't allowed to give them orders or tell them not to record something. But of course, some leaders would try anyway. And on one occasion, King Taejong of the 15th century fell off of his horse while hunting. The recorder was nearby. He saw it and he wrote it down. King Taejong said, hey, don't write that down, please. And he tried to have the report destroyed. But this led to some nonsense as the leader kept destroying their work, but the recorders kept writing it down and hiding it in increasingly obscure places. The point was, according to the legend, King Taejong did not want anyone to know that he fell off of his horse, probably because it was embarrassing. Of course, the recorders wanted to do their job extremely well, so they refused to let him destroy it. And he would destroy it, they would write it again. He would destroy it, they would write it again. And they kept hiding it from him so that it couldn't be destroyed. So the whole thing was recorded as it happened. Have you heard that story? I asked Napidi if he's heard that story before, and he said, oh, maybe in my school days, maybe many years ago, but I don't remember the details from that. Kind of cute, though, right? That one made me chuckle as well. Here's another one. President Jimmy Carter from the United States was attacked by a rabbit while paddling around in a rowboat. The president was minding his own business, rowing around a small pond and fishing when a rabbit left the shore and swam deliberately towards the boat. Apparently, the rabbit had gone crazy. It was crazed. Carter splashed the rabbit with water, driving it away from the boat. And according to Press Secretary Jody Powell, upon closer inspection, the animal did turn out to be a rabbit. But this was not one of your cute Easter bunny type rabbits. This was one of those big-footed things that we called swamp rabbits when I was growing up. Well, Carter's political enemies used the story as fodder to show that he was weak and claimed that his response to the rabbit attack was weak as well. And they say that other governments got more aggressive because of what they thought to be a sign of weakness from American President Jimmy Carter because of the rabbit attack while he was minding his own business in the boat. Here's another one. Back when India was under British colonial rule, there was a little problem with cobras. So the obvious solution was to put a bounty on the cobras. Now, the only problem was that the price for each cobra that the British were offering was higher than the cost of raising or breeding a cobra. Do you see the math problem here? The result was that people saw this as an opportunity to make money. The British government was saying, hey, we'll pay you $10 if you kill a cobra. But it only costs $2 to raise a cobra. So what people would do is they saw an opportunity to make some money. People were breeding tons of snakes so that they could claim the money from the British colonial rule. And when the government realized what was happening, they got rid of the plan. They said, forget about it. We're not going to pay you for killing cobras anymore. But the problem was now tons of people were raising cobras, but they have no reason to keep them. It's not lucrative. So what did they do? They just let them go out into the public. They just released them, all of these cobras. Thank you to the British government for that mishap. Oh, my goodness. One more. Let's do just one last one. In 1631, this one's funny. In 1631, a publication of the Bible caused an uproar when it was discovered that one of the 10 Commandments had been misprinted to read this: "Thou shalt commit adultery." Instead of "thou shalt not commit adultery." Oops. 1631 publication of the Bible, that was the misprint. And I'm pretty sure they got it fixed pretty quickly. But yes, that would have caused an uproar at the time. Encouraging people to step out on their partners is not something that the Bible should be doing, that's for sure. Anyway, those ones made me smile. Hopefully you as well. That's today's Friday Fun Day. We'll have a little break and come back with Today in Music as we cruise through hour number 2 on this Friday afternoon. Here is Jax Jones and Caleb Scott, Whistle.
back to you.
That was Jax Jones and Caleb Scott with Whistle, and now it's time for Today in Music. We'll have a look back on this day in history to find out what happened musically speaking. And it's October 27th today. Let's start in 1975. Bruce Springsteen appeared on the covers of both Time and Newsweek magazines amid acclaim for his third album that was called Born to Run. The album was a commercial success, peaking at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and eventually selling 7 million copies in the United States. In 1982, Prince released his 5th album that was called 1999. It was a breakthrough, selling well over 5 million copies worldwide, thanks to Little Red Corvette. Great tune, and of course the title track as well. In 1998, the first Now That's What I Call Music compilation CD was released in America with 17 hits from the likes of Hanson, that was the track Mbop, Spice Girls, Say You'll Be There, Cherry Poppin' Daddies, Zoot Suit Riot, I haven't heard that song in ages, and many, many more. Typically 3 per year, as a matter of fact. In 2012, Barbra Streisand's album Release Me hit number 7 in America, making her the first artist to have multiple albums in the top 10 during every decade from the 1960s to the 2010s. Her 2011 album What Matters Most made it to number 4. Streisand is the female artist with the most top 10 charting albums in history. That's a fun little fact to know, too. In 2013, Lou Reed, who was the frontman for the Velvet Underground, he passed away at age 71. The Velvet Underground became regarded as one of the most influential bands in the history of underground and alternative rock music. Reed's distinctive deadpan voice, poetic and transgressive lyrics, and experimental guitar playing were trademarks throughout his long career. And finally, today, this will be our last point, Taylor Swift issued 1989 in the year 2014, her biggest selling album. The first 2 singles were monster hits. Those were Shake It Off and Blank Space. Let's hear a couple of tunes from the artists that we talked about. Let's go with the Velvet Underground, Sunday Morning. That's a great song. Then Barbra Streisand, I Think It's Gonna Rain Today. Wow, what a vocal, huh? I think we forget sometimes, don't we, how really incredible Barbara Streisand is with her voice. She is a superstar. That was beautiful. I don't think I've ever heard that song before, as a matter of fact. I think it's going to rain today. Really, really pretty. Barbara Streisand has an incredible ability to control, and I guess that's what it is that makes a great singer, right? The ability to control your voice, not just use it well and hit notes, but control it when you hit those notes as well for periods of time. Really beautiful song. And before that, the Velvet Underground, Sunday Morning. I asked you today what your spirit animal was. I gave you my answer. I said, I'm a koala bear. My spirit animal is a koala bear. I like them. They seem really relaxed. They seem like you could be friends with them. You know what I mean? Like they'd be chill. No stress, no drama. You never see a koala bear freaking out and going crazy. And I think that kind of settles with me pretty well, I think, which is a nice thing. A couple of more animals in case you thought, I don't know what my spirit animal is. Do I have time? Yeah, we'll have just a minute here. A bear. They say the bear, if the bear is your spirit animal, the bear is deeply emotional and feels a connection to the earth and the outdoors. So if that's you, maybe if you, I don't know, like love camping or something,